to you. We're going to try to get on here real quick. Hope y'all feeling pretty good. Give me just a minute. Let me get my stuff together. Let's see. Monetization is on. Let me get out of here again. What's happening? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Just coming on live. Let me get my stuff linked up. Appreciate you coming through. And don't move because I'm gonna send this thing out. I gotta link everything up. Come on. Okay, I am back now. Had to get everything straight. So if everybody's on, we here live. Gonna be on for got this thing done. And I know that sometimes people take a while to get on, but I am here now. So we are live. We're gonna see if people come on here. We're gonna see what they do. And I am live. We'll be here for a while. So anyway, yeah, a lot to discuss. You know, I Was that play legal? I don't know. What's up? Your timing is perfect. I just told you. I got your message. I was out and I said I was coming on today, which I am. I might be on Tuesday. Tuesday's probably the only day of the week I'll probably be on during the week. Think. I think. I think. I think Tuesday. Maybe one other, but Tuesday for sure. Because by and large, I'll just probably come like 2 or 3 times out the week, twice at the most. But I am here. I'm glad to see you. Hope you're having a good day. Um, Hope you're staying warm. Hope you got some questions and maybe we got some answers. There's a lot going on. A lot going on. I thought about you too, because You Rock My World has been getting crazy play. I was on Instagram and it's almost like a resurgence. I'm so tripping about You Rock My World getting all this play. It's like it's 25 years later and the song's actually bigger than it was 25 years ago. I'm tripping about that. But anyway, for the football heads, it was tough yesterday for the Bills. And if you're a Niners fan, you know, so it just didn't end well. Bad defense. Oh man, it just was pretty pathetic. I was very disappointed with San Francisco. Didn't even bother to show up. They just got waxed, so they didn't even bother. The Bills is typical, but you can't depend on the refs. you know, um, you gotta, with anything, it's just like the music award shows. So the sports is just like other stuff. You depend on people to come save you, and you're gonna drown. So you gotta do what you're supposed to do. So I can sit here and tell you all the conspiracy theories, but you'll never get the benefit of the doubt if you don't put the work in. You got to put the work in. That depends. I can't really answer that because that depends on what your circumstances is like. Um, that's not a fair. See, because I'm gonna tell you why. Usually, I would say the grandmother in a blowout, but there could be a godparent that maybe is associated with something that they have feelings about, and they have so it's kind of hard to pick one of the in general, I'd say the grandmother, but there could be a godparent that might be non-biased. Depends on circumstances. That's a circumstantial situation. That's the best way I can answer that. Can't because usually it's the grandmother, but again, it's all based on the circumstances. Because if you got a grandmother that's funny time, maybe the godmother is, I don't know. That's an interesting question, but usually I would say the grandmother. Usually. What is more surprising? Well, the first two are more surprising. But that's an interesting question. I'll tell you why. Surprise birthday parties can be where you're not seeing it, how people fool around. Bachelorette parties are trip because somebody may come with a dance. It could be something that you didn't really expect. So, um, baby showers are pretty self-explanatory. You know, I think I'll use that for a question though. That's interesting because I have never ever ever had. I'd say bachelorette parties can be surprising. I don't think baby showers are usually that surprising. The only thing that I trip out off about baby showers is that the baby ain't born and they have a baby shower before. That's always cracked me up. But I'll use those. I think I'll use that. More significant. Oh, let's see. Henny, gotta be Henny. Cause Newport's cigarettes are cigarettes, but you say if you mention it by Henny, would probably get more love. Henny would probably get more love. I like the first two questions better because that the thing about with alcohol, cigarettes, the alcohol is more happening, but the cigarettes are more consistent. So, but I'd probably say the Henny though. You would think it would be the Henny because people tend to act like they got more when they drinking than they do when they smoking. Drinking make it seem like you got money. Cigarettes means you try to play cool. There's a difference. All right. We are live today. All right. I don't even think anyone is kind of a poll question. Far as what? You talking about artistry or what you talking about? I just asked a football question, so that's a football related question. So feel free to take the poll. Um, depends on what you asking me. You asking me for artistry? Or you asking me for um? I think that you got more with Sammy Davis Jr. all around, but Sam Cooke had more with the vocals, so it all depends. Which one of the two used it to defend the rights more? Of those two? Is that the question? Give me a one for yes or two for no. That's a good question because both of them represented it. Um, that's a good one. If I had to say Sammy Davis Jr., it'd be a number. Tell you why? Because with the Rat Pack, with him and Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, they had to like work alongside of him so he could eat just to eat in restaurants. And they played Vegas in the mid 60s. They couldn't even eat in the restaurant section. They'd eat in the kitchen. So his drew a lot of attention. And when he married the German actress and that whole thing in the studios, he went through it directly with the mobsters and the haters. So he had to deal with stuff in a real different way. Sam, because of his music and what he spoke about, because of his rights, they both were impactful. But Sammy Davis Jr.'s thing was like to open up the avenues. Like Sammy Davis Jr.'s situation was gonna open up the avenues where like Michael Jackson performing. If you think about it, I mean, when you not only do you play the main stage, but you eat and all that, it's the whole nine. So his represented marching and protests and of course with everything he went through. So it encompasses all that. So that's an interesting question because they both defended, but it was in different ways though. Sam Cooke's granddaughter, as a matter of fact, runs his estate. If you type her in on Instagram, they have like she was talking about something of the life. So it's there, it's there. But that's an interesting question. I never would have put those two against each other, and I thought about that. But then they both had their way, but it was in different manners. But I think Sammy's Towers, he's the big artist of the two. Cook had the better, career in terms of like the songs that he wrote and everything. But Sammy, when you talk about his all around showmanship, his entertainment skills, um, and he definitely did a lot of things. The fact that he kissed Archie Bunker on All in the Family was an iconic moment because that was a big deal on TV when he did it, you know. And he was a face without being a face. It was interesting. So, but I think generally I'd say both. But I'd have to say if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Sammy Davis because of the crossover audience that he had. He had to kind of do stuff a little bit more. So, but it's close though. It's close because Sam Cooke's music was huge, and you know, ain't neither one of them gonna get a movie made about him though. So, it's a good question though. All right. See what we got so far. Okay. Uh, Blizzard, and I've been a part of both the blizzards because of snow in the wintertime in the weather. I think you'd more likely have that. Depends on where you live, but yeah, I think that's more likely to happen. Hmm. Yeah, I think the more likely you get like blizzard. Yeah. What we got? What has been replaced years they shouldn't have been? That's a great question. Um, I gotta probably say books because it changed the landscape, and it's strange that there's still bookstores when you have it on Nook. It kind of, whereas with the cameras, everyone want to take pictures, and so now your phone is almost like it doesn't even use for talking; it's just used for picture taking. So I think books have taken more of a hit. I agree. I love books over digital books. I do too, but the only problem with photos is that that is so antiquated. It's almost like a ViewMaster. You can't quite recapture that. If you were a known photographer, you could, but the thing about it is it makes sense to take pictures with your camera and built in your lenses and stuff. I can just see that. But the Nook thing, it's almost like why do you even have bookstores anymore? And if you do, you're touching them, and then if you do, you can read everything online. So it's kind of like and it really isn't the same hit. So it's kind of like I don't know about that. So I'm kind of indifferent with it. So, you know, there's things about pictures that have sentiments, but it's just that you do things with your phone now. And so, yeah. Okay, let's see what we got. Got some good questions and some stuff. So let's see what we working with. What has been replaced? Usually, social interaction. Nothing is gonna touch that. I think digital action and games and bikes and stuff, you can debate that. You play Guitar Hero, you played all kinds of computer games, but their interaction is what's changed the course. It's their interaction. Interaction is everything. I mean, that's it. And you have pandemics and stuff. You wipe away a lot of interaction. So that's the one. That's the answer to me. So that's what I think. I think that you just don't talk no more. You know, digital games have been around. That's not so far fetched, and that sort of thing. But their interaction, that's huge. That's huge. Let's see. Trying to see if I see anything else that was said. Okay. Hmm. So that's what's going on with that, though. I think I've been for about. See if anybody's gonna come through. Let me know if you're coming through and you're talking, cause I just wait. Okay. Be on for about 6 more minutes. If you could go back in time, yeah, I'm still here. It's just that it was this big delay, and I didn't know when you're coming back. So when people don't talk much, I don't know much, and I'm just here. So just waiting. Future. There's nothing you can't go back in time and recapture stuff that's already happened because it had its connotation. It's the way it is. We have moments of flashbacks that some things we like, some we don't. However, it's about going forward. So give me to the future. So as long as you keep talking, I'm right here. Right here. So we got that already done. All right. Just trying to see what's up. I'll be on for about 10 more minutes. It's kind of slow today. I figure people probably either watching games or laying low. Dr. King holiday week. What item can you do more with? Well, I don't really mess with all of them, but if I had to, probably say baking soda. Probably say baking soda. All jokes aside, probably baking soda. Because I don't mess with no Clorox bleach. That's strictly for clothes and Vaseline. Now, so I'd say baking soda. To answer your question, I never been asked that question before. There's always a time for one. What's happening? Um, I don't. I don't. I can't. I can't justify three other turnovers. I can't justify giving up 30 points. I can't justify that turnover before halftime. The tr- the truth of the matter is, if Bo Nixon was a halfway legit quarterback, the game isn't even close. That's the sad part. Uh, Explain away 30 plus points to the Broncos because even if you win the game, You've given up an average of 30 points the last 2 weeks to Jacksonville and to Denver, who are not powerhouse offenses. The Bills' defense is atrocious. They deserve to lose the game. And I can say that as a fan. Please hit that poll, hit that like up too if you're coming on talking about the football. I can say that as a fan because they did not play championship worthy football. Defense has been horrible all year. The first game of the season was indicative of that. The way they struggled against Baltimore. They should have lost the first game of the season. Bad game against New England at home. Bad games against Miami. Should have lost both those games. The Bills did not play that good this year, in hindsight. I know Josh Allen is getting this Superman hero ride my cape, Allen Iverson Westbrook type situation, but did not play like a championship quality team. So losing that game, yeah, I can say the refs, but I can't blame the refs for the game. We did not play like a quality team. And I still think that Sean McDermott should be fired. I think he's getting out coached. And I think that there's things that you just got to do that they don't do. So until they address the issue of a top tier receiver, until they address the issue of a pass rusher, stop the run, you can't play games where you think you're going to outscore everybody. St. Louis Rams did that to an extent, but they still had defense. They had enough to make stops. Most times it doesn't end well. Now you can do that in the NBA. Golden State got away with it, but most of the times that doesn't end well. It's just something that you can't afford to do. The LA Dodgers can do it in baseball. There's exceptions. There are exceptions. Kansas City got away with it in football to an extent. Golden State in basketball, LA Dodgers in baseball. I'll give you that. But that's the exception. That's not the norm. I wish I could just say that was the only thing that cost us the game. He's not like Marv Levy because Marv Levy went to the Super Bowl. Please know your facts before you speak. Okay? Sean McDermott ain't never been to no Super Bowl. At least Marv Levy went to Super Bowls. The McDermott hasn't even won an AFC championship game. At least Marv won 4 of them things. So please don't compare him to Marv. Marv Levy would have known what to do with Josh Allen. They are being undercoached. And in that era, when he lost the Super Bowls, those were legit teams. Dallas was a great team. Washington was probably the toughest team we played. Probably should have beat the Giants. I'll give you that first one. But he did get us to the Super Bowl. McDermott has not gotten to a Super Bowl, so he's not like Marv Levy. That's an insult to Marv. Marv got us to the Super Bowl. And there's a big difference when you get to the show as opposed to never knowing what it's like. Josh Allen got knocked out in the second round for 3 out of the last 4 years. So no. And in this case, you got an all-time type talented quarterback and you can't deliver. So no. No. I'm like, can you at least get to the Super Bowl? Then we could talk. You can't get us to the Super Bowl. We can't talk. And so that's the problem I'm having with him. He's 8-7 as a coach in the postseason. Let that sink in. 1 game over 500. But 2 AFC championships to show for it, both losses. So, no. There's always something that comes up. But Josh Allen ain't making no excuses. They're just not playing quality football. That's all when they need to. beer. Because beer is cheaper, but it has more connotation. People love wine and love the other stuff, but beer is more popular. Because the beer is like the closest thing to like fast food that you sell at sporting events. So it's gonna be beer. Old school gonna say, bro, how do you think? Mixed. Because he's gotta hope that that kid is ready to play quarterback, and then he's got to see what the running game is like. And I don't expect a lot with him. I'm sorry, but what did he do with a two-time league MVP and a Russian running back who and Derrick Henry? What are you going to do when you didn't had that? You see, it sounds good in theory, but what's he going to do? Most of the time, if you've had it good already, you're taking a step backwards. Think about Mike McCarthy when he left Green Bay to Dallas. He had Aaron Rodgers, and then he went to Dak Prescott. What do you think the results usually are? And think about it. You done already had a guy that's considered an all-time great or a guy that's had great success. What do you think your likelihood is going to be when you take a step to a tier that's below? Think about it. Harbaugh got to go to a Giants team that has no Derrick Henry, has no Lamar Jackson, hoping that the division is watered down, that maybe they get a playoff spot, maybe, you know, but are they going to be as good as Philly? Will Washington bounce back? I don't know. They lost, and the thing about the Giants too, if you pay close attention, they were a broke version of the Ravens. They lost a lot of close games, and I just don't see a lot happening there. So anyway, that's my read on it. I think that he, I think that he's hoping that no one people can conveniently forget about what he just got through leaving, but I can't. I don't see how you get better when you had it good already, because she had it good already, and I don't see it. So please take that poll too. By the way, feel free to take that poll. Yeah, because he ain't got to worry about Mahomes. But it could be a nightmare though. Actually, it could be worse. Let me be real. You ain't beating Seattle. You ain't got the Rams talent. And then the Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay. We think you stepped into more of a pile of worse. Because in the NFC East, you got to beat Philadelphia, and then you got to beat Dallas, and you beat Washington. I don't know. I think it's worse. I think he stepped into something that it's going to take a lot to happen to come out of it. You know, I think it looks good that his reputation, they're banking on a Tom Coughlin type of situation that you go, but I'm sorry. Common sense is he just had Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry 1-2 punch, and he messed it up. So I don't know. I don't see it working in his favor. The lot of rebuilding. I think Dart's a decent talent, but they need a lot of rebuild. Because to be honest with you, they are a lot of rebuild. Lottery. I don't see them being a threat. As Rick Pitino would say, Lawrence Taylor ain't walking through that door. Mark Bavaro ain't walking through that door. Phil Simms ain't walking through that door. They the kind of talent they need. And again, they always good every few years, but it's just to me, he got his work cut out for him. Because he's got to sell it with a straight face that, hey, you know. But let me say it like this. I'm not blaming the refs on a game that the Bills shouldn't even been in the game. Either blow them out or you get blowed out. But you can't play a close game and get mad and say that's the reason. Because I tell McDermott, I said, well, what about the running game? What about the fact that you still gave up 30 plus points? The same way you lost last year, giving up 30 plus points to Kansas City, who didn't even put 30 up. Denver's not an offense that puts up no 30 points. Bo Nixon is, so pretty much. I take the Rick Pitino quote and I run with it because that was one of the best quotes I ever heard. And he didn't do much as an NBA coach to me, but he made a quote for the. He said, "Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kim McHale aren't coming through that door," and that's the fact. That's the fact. Because you got to understand that what you working with. Giants are very much going to be a working project for a couple of years. So, you know, if he can make it that long. But Brian Dable had the right idea. It's just that he gave up on Daniel Jones and he should have never let Saquon Barkley go unless you get some real pieces for him. That was the most embarrassing egg on your face. Oh, well, he had the best quote in terms of what he said about a team, but Rick Pitino had the best quote as far as the talent. That's the difference. I like both the quotes, actually. I like both the quotes because they both stuck with me for different reasons. What's happening? How you doing from the ATL? Good to see you. I like Denny Green's quote because he was right about his team being what they were. But I like Rick Pitino because when people be saying, "Well, do you think so and so is good as so and so?" and he just said, "Hey," and you already know. Shoot, you can't. You say something stupid, you're gonna get your what you put out there. So now. Atlanta always stay with a new coach. It don't mean nothing. Um, yeah, because Bo Nixon is like Tebow-ish, but he does come through in the fourth quarter. I mean, like you can't give him no. You got to put him away. Their defense is legit, but the Bills played well enough to win the game. But again, if he hits that Kennard over the middle, he missed a wide open player. See, that's why I can't get mad at the refs. I can't. Josh Allen leaves too much off the table. He overthrows, underthrows. It's the same old story. It's like, man, can you read a field? You're not reading properly. You're not taking what they're giving you. And then you try to play hero and then you push too much ump on it. He's missing the mark. So they're gonna, yeah. I can't stand when you just you ain't got it like that to just turn it on, turn it off. You got to get it right. And I'll tell you somebody else that I quote George Foreman. When George Foreman won that heavyweight title against Michael Moore back in '94, he said, "I can't depend on the refs. If I don't knock him out, I don't win." You got to use common sense. So you either attack or you gonna get jacked. Okay, simple as that. And the Bills deserve to lose that game. I'm not surprised that they lost because they didn't learn. The Jacksonville game was too close. Jacksonville makes one play here or there. That's a L. They should have lost to Jacksonville. See, I'm gonna be one of the few people that's gonna be an honest fan. A lot of people be lying and they capping about my team. Yeah, I believe the Bills are legit with what's out there and Josh Allen's talent. But I'm also a firm believer if you don't play no defense, if you play hero ball, you get out coach, you're gonna lose. You don't stop nobody. Everybody ain't this ain't Oprah. Everybody can't get no 30 off of you and you expect to win. This ain't the Golden State Warriors. You can't and you see what's happening with Golden State. They old now. You see that you can't play basketball like you play football or baseball. Some team will put the wood to you, do enough to stop you. Even though we don't really see a lot of the football like that today. Because Denver's considered a really good defensive team, even though and their games are kind of squeeze them. I think Houston plays probably better defense, and Seattle's defense is legit. I'm talking about that kind of defense that can just shut your butt down, hold your butt to single digits. That's what I'm talking about. So, but you know, somebody both people saying they don't. I think the Bills and San Francisco both need a new coach. I think that Shanahan style is played in Frisco. I just think that it's played, and I think that Sean McDermott's style is played in Buffalo. They both been choking the same amount of times. I mean, McDermott, he really got his work cut off for him because you didn't lost since 2019. Same thing with Shanahan. I don't think people understand that both those teams blew opportunities almost 10 years ago. We're in 2026. And they've been coming at the podium at the end of the year in this like, does it ever gonna end? Of course, Josh Allen is almost on some Michael Jordan, LeBron tip where it's been 7 years, so next year or so will be his breakthrough. I don't buy it. Football is a different animal than in the sports. Cause if you don't go, you might not go, and you always run the risk of that year injury or something bad or a sorry but season. You ain't gonna get so many more chances. You know. Remember, Miami was a sorry excuse for not being 500, and they still almost made the playoffs, and they did beat the Bills once. So it's gonna take some first game of the season is gonna tell me everything I need to know about the Bills. The first game of this year told me that they weren't that good. They shouldn't even be Baltimore. They came from behind in a game they shouldn't even been in. Baltimore should have waxed that butt by 10, 15 points, and if we were in a loss. So that was telling. All right. I think people kind of, you gotta get passionate about it because sometimes you don't. So, it's like, hey, see what we got going on. See what we got right quick. Uh, they old. Well, what you want to know? What you mean fake? They ain't got no coach. They tune their coach out. They don't play no defense. Luca can't win like that. He's trying to take care of an old man who they can't really collab because um they don't have any chemistry. They're trying to outscore everybody. They don't play no defense. They can't zone. They can't hit zones. So if you can't even cheat with zone defense, how are you gonna do with regular defense? And then the Aiden is a bust in the middle. They suck in the glass. Bench ain't effective. They're just getting exposed for what they are, which is frauds, because they're hoping that they can outscore everybody. But the problem is, if you score 90 and you give up 91, you're gonna lose, right? Right. So now they got shot. The team's coming in there putting 115 on them like it ain't nothing. You suck. You done lost your plight as a coach. JJ ridiculous. Under normal circumstances, he'd be getting fired right about now. He'd be getting fired. And he's got LeBron isn't effective as a third option. He can't be your first and he can't be your second at this stage. Problem is they got no other choice because Luca doesn't defend. Luca is about Luca, and if Luca can't stat pad and prance and look pretty, there ain't much there. They in trouble. So you're gonna see them cakes getting busted quite a bit, and don't be surprised because I saw Portland is like one game under 500. Portland's been playing good since their coach got arrested. But anyway, you better be careful if you're a Laker fan because the Clippers are gaining traction. The Lakers might fool around and be a play-in tournament team if they keep this up. And believe me, there are no easy wins when you can't play defense because everybody's coming for you and they smell you. So there's no easy games. They're losing. And the problem that they run into is that when they really got to take their butt on the road and they got them back-to-back nights where they get really beat up, their games it's starting to fall, implode. So good luck, JJ Redick. Hope that's what you signed up for. Cause y'all getting exposed bad. Bad, bad, bad. And nobody's gonna feel sorry for it because it doesn't work. Ironically, LeBron and Luca need Anthony Davis. That's exactly what they would need to facilitate what they're trying to pull off. They need a low post. I know Austin Reeves is the happening cool thing because of scoring on the perimeter, but you need somebody on the block. They don't have that. And AD gives you inside out. LeBron and Luca ain't gonna be able to do that. So even with all the free throws they get and all the other stuff they get, they suck. And it's coming to implode right now. It's imploding in front of your eyes. They didn't quit on JJ. He talked too much. He need to shut up. He's getting out coached. And they have to make a trade. And I think Max Kellerman, people thought it was crazy. Trading Luca might be the only thing they could say they but let LeBron walk after this year, bust that stuff up, build around Austin Reeves maybe, but you can't win with what you got because your 4 through 12 is just jack. It's booty. So you gonna have to make some big choices, and I don't think people gonna feel sorry for you. And it's not a quicker picker up a flip and switch. They're not championship worthy. They are a team that can look like a team that can win some games, but the reality is their injury or something happening where their butt is kaput and they're getting exposed. And I don't care what nobody says. Austin Reeves is playing really good too, very good, great basketball at this stage, but he ain't he ain't that much of a loss where you're getting your butt handed to you on a platter by getting blown out by 20 points at home, left and right, getting housed. Sacramento, Portland, Charlotte spanking your cheeks like that. You suck. And I'm gonna tell you something. We are in the new year, so you can't say this is October, November, December. You're in January, and you're at the halfway point of the season, my friend. 82 game season, 2 more. You are what you are. And 15 of your games that you done lost, you done got your butt handed and dusted. So I expect more handles and dusting coming if you're a Laker fan. Unless, of course, you got two choices. You can either ride with what you got and see how it takes you, or you try to make a move and unload what you got. But either way, you're not making a championship run. And with all the refs blowing whistles for you, Unless Barr and Shea gets hurt, you see Denver without Jokic looks good. You're not beating them. And Minnesota's healthy. You're not gonna beat it. You're not. You're right where Phoenix is. Golden State's about to catch your butt, and their average is all get out. So what's that say about you? Shoot, then this Golden State fool around, make a trade. You never do nothing if you're NBA Cup champion. That's a cup of coffee you can't wait to get rid of. The next problem is that they're a finesse team. Cat don't hit no glass. They soft and light in the cakes. Jalen Brunson play hard, but he plays with his body. And when he gives as much as he gives, you're going to fade. And then they don't play no defense. So they try to outscore you. All the teams got to do is box they butt up. They need to make a big trade ASAP. They need a big situation, or their butt will, you know, it's going to be what it usually is. Second round casualty. Get them New York Knicks fans' hopes up, and then they get their butt housed. A lot of these teams are just too late in the cakes, and that's the bottom line. And they don't have nothing to offset what they got. And they live and die by the three. They run a 7-8 man rotation. They get tired and their legs get winded, and then they're done. So Boston could be a problem, but I think Detroit is legit. But there ain't much going on in the East. That's the reason why you got hope if you're in the East. So I don't really pay no attention to no NBA Cup champs because if you're NBA Cup champs, that means that's the kiss of death. That's almost like messing with a Kardashian. You think I'm lying? What happened when the Lakers won the cup? What happened to Milwaukee when they won the cup? You see what that cup does for you? Shh. So anyway, I give myself a couple minutes to see if I can come back on. Uh, if Houston can not turn the ball over and can control the line on the defense, they can win the game. If you're Drake Maine, you got to stay away from turnovers. You can't give Houston a short field, and you can't punt the ball a whole lot because you got to try to make points. You're making a statement with this game. This is where people either it's a statement game. Rams and the Bears. For me, these two teams are the ones I'd like to see come out the NFC. The Rams are the most talented team I've seen. The Bears are the most entertaining team. To me, this should be a real intriguing battle. Caleb Williams got a chance. My personal, I would love for Houston and Chicago to win. Powers that be would probably push New England and the Rams. But Houston, the Bears would be the teams I like to see to win. I love to see. I like to see it because I think CJ Stroud is due for a legit game. Their defense is something else though. So again, if they can keep it close, make it play it ugly, that's their kind of game. Patriots want it ugly, but they want some turnovers, so we gotta be very careful. Bears gotta play 4 quarters of football though, and the Rams are susceptible for playing kind of loosey goosey, so it'll be very telling. But the Rams are the most talented team I've seen though. So, and I guess the elephant in the room is, do I? Oh, as far as what? Who I think's the better quarterback? It's Caleb. Caleb. Did you see that pass he threw last week off his back foot looking like Mahomes? Had like a Patrick Mahomes Randall Cunningham thing going. Threw that thing off that foot 30 yards down. Caleb got that in him. He got that in him. CJ needs to have it in. If they can put up more than 20 points and they play some offense, they'll go to a Super Bowl because their defense is tight. It's just that offense is just bad. Offense don't do nothing. So right now it's Caleb to me. But I like Houston's defense. I think Houston got a better situation as a team. But the Bears are exciting to watch because they come back, they feisty. But I think the Houston defense is legit. But then Drake Maine just can't put the ball on the carpet. He got to be very poised. You know, got to be very poised. He's a dangerous team. And the Rams, again, if they don't play cute and they play their brand of football, because Matthew Stafford always gives you a chance to win. You just can't, So that's how I look at it. I'd like to see Houston and Chicago win, but it's going to be tough. Tough for Houston because their offense doesn't generate enough points. Tough for Chicago because unless Matthew Stafford is playing gimme ball and they don't play the way they play, but if the Rams play to their standards, they win. Just like if. So it's all about what you're playing up to. I don't see no upsets either way. I'll say that because I think Houston can win and I think Chicago can win. Because I don't know. I heard it's not that bad in Chicago. It's not gonna matter for Houston because Houston pounds them. Again, Houston knows how to pound you out, so they travel real well. It's just a matter of them, you know, keeping Drake Maine, forcing the issue. So we'll see. We shall see. I will probably be back here on Tuesday, but I gotta hope that people come on. Hopefully, it's been kind of slow, so we'll see. All right, kind of low key so far. So anyway, everybody got quiet. So anyway, I think I'm gonna call it a day. I'll be back on a couple of days. I appreciate when it did come through, and hopefully I'll see somebody coming in on Tuesday and we can resume. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.